What's up, guys? Welcome to this week's episode of the Everyday Life Podcast. Throughout this series, we have been breaking down the new mission statement here at Long Hollow, living out our God-given calling as we follow Jesus and make disciples. And over the past couple episodes, we have talked to different people from different stages of life. So we've talked to moms, we have talked to employees, we even talked to Pastor and his wife, Candy, as they really broke down the vision behind the mission statement for us. So if you haven't heard any of those episodes, feel free to go back and check those out. And I'm really excited about today because today we're breaking down the mission statement from a business owner's perspective. I know there's a lot of you out there who run companies or manage businesses, and you might really struggle with knowing how God can use you right where you are. Well, I am excited to introduce our guest to you today. We got Mr. Todd Hunley over here from Chick-fil-A Rivergate. Todd, how are you doing?
Good morning. Good morning.
And then we got Mr. Sam Stewart over there with the best posture ever.
Oh, thank
That's
you.
a chiropractor for you. I feel like I need to sit up around you.
Good
All right.
He's judging us.
I know, he's
Yeah.
judging my slouching. That's okay. All right, so each week we start off with a little bit of fun just to get to know our guests a little bit better. So since Sam's a chiropractor, he's going to do a quick adjustment on, I'm just kidding. No, I don't know if HIPAA
I missed my
realized
appointment
that.
this week, so I kind of need it.
Yeah, okay.
To be honest with you.
All right, no, but for real, this is what we got. So we got Todd Hunley. We affectionately call him Chicken Man. Well, that's what he calls himself. He gave himself his own nickname, and we just all call you Chicken Man now. So this is what we got. If you're watching this right now on YouTube, you will appreciate this. If you're listening to this, just bear with us, and I will give you as many verbal, the breakdown of what's going on here. So what we got here, we got chicken minis from the Chick-fil-A, and we have 3 different versions of Chick-fil-A sauce. Okay, so we have one from Chick-fil-A, we have one from Walmart, and one from Kroger's, as my granny would say. She adds an S on that. So that's what we're going to do. We're just going to test them and see if you can spot the real one, Todd. You ready for this?
I'm ready.
Okay, all right. So grab your chicken minis. I'm gonna give the play-by-play here, so people listening, you can grab it. You want me to grab it for you? Here, Mr. Todd, I got you. All right, TJ, you getting some chicken minis?
Yeah, definitely. My stomach will be growling.
All right, so here's the thing. You guys don't have to participate in this. You totally can if you want. I'm going to ask that you don't double dip. That's gross. Mythbuster says it does nothing, but I still don't believe them. And I have never had Chick-fil-A sauce before. So I don't have a clue which one is real. So Todd, I'm going to let you go first. You just dip whichever one. You know what? Just dip all 3 of them. You got 3 chicken minis. You got 3 sauce there. Just do a little dip in each, and then you'll sit back and give us a live taste test of which one you think is real. All right. He's getting a generous dip there. Okay, that's good. TJ, do you like Chick-fil-A sauce?
I love it.
Sam, how do you feel about Chick-fil-A sauce? Have you ever had it?
I have. It's been a minute, but it's good.
Okay, I have never had it. I'm weird about my sauces, so let me get a little dip in real quick.
I will say it's high in calorie content. So you got to stick with the honey mustard, which is a little lower. You know what I'm saying? I think I'm just going to watch y'all do it.
Okay, all right. So TJ, you might need to give us the breakdown if we're chewing. So I've dipped all 3 of mine. This is going to be a mouthful. I didn't think this through all the way. We'll take little nibbles. I have no idea which is the real one. So, and I'm scared of sauces. Did I already say that? Todd, which one are you trying first?
I'm going to try.
I kind of kept mine in order here, so I know which is which.
Okay, I'm going to try this one right here, the very first one.
The lighter one?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's try that. Let's try it. You want to try it together? Count of 3. 1,
All right.
2, 3.
All right.
Okay. That's not bad. This is my, first ever experience Chick-fil-A sauce. Tastes a little mayonnaise, a little bit of mayonnaise. Almost like a little bit of barbecue sauce is in there.
So how are you going to know the difference?
Maybe
if you've
like,
never had it?
you're right. I'm just breaking down whatever sauce this is. And maybe like a tinge of mustard. I don't know. Chick-fil-A corporate right now is cringing, but all right.
So for me,
Yeah.
color
Color. Okay.
and texture
Yes, I can see that.
is what, because I'm a honey roasted barbecue kind of guy.
Okay, I just tried the other one, which is not as good.
Okay.
You're not trying this. Why am I the only one trying this?
No, because
I feel like you got it figured out.
It's like mic drop. I know what you
Oh.
mean.
Okay, all right, fine. I'll just be the guinea pig here.
Todd just looked at it.
Oh.
I was like, I know.
Okay. So All right, so Ty, tell me which one is the Chick-fil-A sauce. TJ, can you hand those to him? Which one is the Chick-fil-A sauce? And then I'm going to tell you which one I like the most.
And this is going to be real embarrassing because if I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
You're the expert.
I'm thinking this is Chick-fil-A sauce.
Okay, let me see it. All right, so he pointed to this one. He thinks this one is Chick-fil-A sauce.
Yeah.
And he is right. This is the Chick-fil-A sauce. This one is the Kroger brand, which made me cringe. This one, the Great Value, which would be from Walmart, was my favorite.
Okay.
That was good. Very good. All right, moving on. All right. Well, I appreciate you guys watching us do that. Todd, I'll take your chicken minis if you want. Okay, so here's the thing. We know that running a business, there may be some pressures when it comes to being a believer. Hard things happen in business, all this stuff. And just before we get into that, I'd love just to hear maybe some fun memories you have first off in business. So I remember years ago, my wife actually used to work for Todd about 8 years ago. My wife worked for Todd.
Oh, no, I think it's a lot.
Yeah, so you hadn't aged a bit either.
Anyway,
yeah,
thank you.
Hydrate well or something. So, but Todd, I remember you telling me a story one time of when you first started working for Chick-fil-A. You were in Knoxville, and something about the rooftop of Chick-fil-A and the interstate. What was that story?
So what had happened?
What had happened was, I love stories that start off that way. By the way,
we were closing the store up, and it was actually the double drive-through on Kingston Pike in Knoxville.
Yeah,
and so one of the employees had one of those 3-man slingshots.
Yeah,
and so we started. Well, let's start with water balloons.
Yeah, and
so where it's located, it's right next to the interstate. So we start shooting them, and the roof of the drive-through was kind of deep. So really all you could see was just something coming out.
Yeah.
Well, then the idea came up, let's see what else we can try. And at that point, I'm like, okay, guys, listen, it's late and I got to get home. And I got to be back early in the morning. Just please be careful. Don't get caught.
What position are you in this?
At this point, I'm general manager.
Okay.
And so...
general manager.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Good.
So I get home, get ready to get in the shower, and Linda comes to me and says, Todd, Shauna's on the phone. So I get on the phone. Shauna said, Todd, get down here right now. I said, what do you mean? She said, there's 3 policemen down here right now. Get down here right now. I said, Shauna, you're lying. She said, get down here right now. So sure enough, I get down there, and there's 3 cop cars down there. And they're like, okay, so we caught your employees doing this, and this is what they were doing. And I'm kind of like, are you serious? Really? Were they doing that? He said, yeah, let me show you what they were using. So I was kind of playing dumb the whole thing.
Yeah.
And they said, well, we wanted to tell you so that you can take care of it. We're going to let you take care of it.
Yeah.
We feel like you can punish them a lot worse and everything. I said, okay, I'll take care of it. So one police officer was just kind of a not so nice.
Yeah, I appreciate this. This is a church podcast.
Yes. And he was just like, he told one girl, said, is this your first job? She said, yeah. He said, well, what's it feel like to lose it?
Oh,
wow. He
wow.
was just not very nice. So anyway, they all pulled away, and they're all sitting on the outside picnic tables. And so I just told them, I said, listen, here's what I'm going to do. Your punishment's going to be the next day off that you have, you don't get paid for it.
Oh, okay.
So think about that. Your next day off, you don't get paid for it.
Yeah.
So that was going to be the punishment because I had taken part and everything.
Yeah.
But it's just when the tomatoes started hitting Camaros and Michael's Cow Palace, which was a hot spot there. And somebody decided to uproot one of the shrubs and try to throw it up on top of the roof to let them know that they knew somebody was up there.
Gotcha. Yeah, things escalate pretty quickly.
So anyway, but fun times.
Yeah, fun times. I appreciate your leadership. Yeah. And so, Sam, I got a question for you. So, huge fan of chiropractic care myself, but I have this fear, and some of my fears may seem irrational at times, but I have this. can I say that? I don't know if I can say this. One of my biggest fears with chiropractic care is that I'm going to be getting adjusted and pass gas. Does that ever happen?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Give me names. I'm just kidding. Don't give me names. Like that just, in my mind, that is the most embarrassing thing that could possibly happen.
A frequent occurrence. So,
if
it happens, it happens.
Yeah.
And move on. We all do it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this doesn't help my fear. Now I feel like it's going to be.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, let's get to why we actually have you guys here. Okay. So Todd, I appreciate the story. And Sam, I apologize for asking that question.
It's a good question.
All right. So here's the first question. Well, let me tell you what I'd love to leave this conversation with today.
Okay.
I believe, and I believe TJ, our church believes this, that as a believer, we are all called to ministry. Okay. And I'm afraid that over time, we have maybe somehow gotten the idea that in order to be in ministry, you need to work at a church. And I just don't think that's true. And I think God has strategically placed you at Chick-fil-A. Some at Chick-fil-A sauce come back up. Strategically placed you at the chiropractic office, strategically placed you wherever you work, that you're listening to this, and that God has a plan for you right where you are. So what I would love to leave this conversation is with a better understanding of how can somebody be a believer and use their place of business as a mission field and be intentional in those moments. So maybe my first question is this. I understand the business world is a lot different than the church world. So is there any tension when it comes to leading your business in this way?
Yeah, I mean, there's probably a lot of similarities. I mean, the business world and church world, just because, well, in the regard that you're just dealing with people, you know, whether it's employees or people that you serve or people that you feed, you know. And so I think one of the biggest tensions a lot of times is just different people, different emotions.
Yeah.
I had someone told me once that anytime you share truth with someone, whether it be maybe the gospel or maybe just a fact about what we're recommending for them, or you know, or a certain client that you have, you know, that there's either a response or a reaction to truth.
Ooh, that's good.
You know, and he dealt with the person that is a pastor that helped with a lot of juvenile delinquents, and we were serving alongside him, and it was true. Like anytime we would share like any type of truth, we would see, you know, breakthrough with maybe people responding to Christ, or you know, getting out of these horrible situations that they were in, or they would completely react. And, you know, these are juvenile delinquents, so they completely react. So I think anytime you share truth with someone, there's a response or reaction. And that's the tension a lot of times, even if we're maybe having a tougher conversation with a team member or someone a part of our team, there's that tension of just making sure that as you try to stay in integrity, that knowing that there might be a reaction to that, and then you try not to have too much, if you can, too much energy or emotion to it, but try to, for me, try to react rationally and logically, and not have emotion, you know, take over any type of conversation.
That's good. So Todd, I know like for Chick-fil-A, I mean, it's kind of an understood Christian values from the top down. So it may be a little bit easier. It's almost expected maybe in that environment, but are there any tensions you feel as far as using your business as a mission field?
Well, to kind of set this up, so our corporate purpose is to glorify God by being a faithful steward of all we're entrusted, and to be a positive influence in those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. So for me, that's a daily challenge to live my life. And, you know, people who may not darken the doors of a church will come in and get a chicken sandwich.
Right.
Okay. So I have that opportunity to build relationships. So for me, I'm very relational. It's all about relationships. You know, Henry Blackaby talks about looking for where God's working
and go there.
Right. And everything. So every day, you know, and our founder, Truett Cathy, said, you know, who needs encouragement if they're breathing?
Exactly.
You know, and everything. So that's one of my, I feel like one of my gifts is when I come in every day and thanking my employees for being there every day. I mean, it's nonstop. I come in, I'm patting people on the back and just saying
Yeah.
thank you for being there and
Yeah.
everything. But speaking to the tensions part, and I think we can all see that this COVID thing really took it to another
Right.
level.
Mhm.
I mean, there were points where I wanted to lose my faith over the way they were treating my employees. I mean,
Yeah.
it got,
Mm.
I'm like, really? You pulled a can of Lysol out and tried to spray my employee
Oh,
while they're trying to
wow.
hand you food.
Yeah.
I'm like, really? I mean, there's plenty of stories, and I mean, not all of them are, I need to tell, but I'm just saying, there are people out there that did wake up on the wrong side of the bed, and they want to share that with you.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's our goal to diffuse any situation and try to love on them and do that. But God's been good with the people that I have, and so I'm grateful for that.
Yeah.
Mm.
So let me ask this. So how do okay, so one, I appreciate that. I think anybody in any context can translate that over into their business. It doesn't have to be Chick-fil-A. I mean, you walk into Stewart Chiropractic, like there's just this, you just feel the Lord's presence there, But I mean, I know other people who own home building companies or custom car companies or lawn care companies, whatever, and they can bring those same things you guys just talked about into their business. I think one of the hardest leaps for people is how do you make the leap from talking about business or what they're there for and into a gospel conversation?
Mm.
Like, how do you make that transition? Does that question make sense?
Yeah, and I was going to add to that too. I've been at Stewart Chiropractic now for 2 years. Been going almost every week, and one of the things I love about them is on the front end, like when you're joining the Stewart Chiropractic family or whatever, he does an introduction where he talks about the biblical reason for
Right. That's
chiropractic
awesome.
care.
Yeah.
And I would love to know, along with your question, is how are you able to do that in a culture where that's not largely accepted
Right.
in the business
Mm.
world?
Yeah. I feel like in a lot of ways with our industry, it can be pretty easy. Just like God made the body, God heals the body. Like we're self-regulating, self-healing mechanisms. And so using different analogies as far as like how it is scientifically proven and biblically documented that we should be healthy. And so we're just trying to be kind of the guide towards whatever type of health goal you may have. So in our industry, I feel like it's easy in that regard to kind of make that correlation. Your question.
So how do you make the jump from a work conversation to a gospel conversation?
And I think the biggest thing for me anyway is just making sure that like I'm aware. Sometimes I can get really busy in my head, like different things that I'm thinking about, or maybe the x-rays I was going over, or that person's case, but just being aware of like what those needs are. And if those conversations can take place for me, it's just being available to pray for somebody. If someone's like really hurting and maybe it's not chiropractic related, but it's just their personal life, just kind of be asking if I can pray for them.
Yeah.
If they're open to that.
Yeah.
And also just making sure that if they have certain questions, like, and a lot of the questions are pretty basic. We'll see a lot of, different types of families from different faiths, different, beliefs, different lifestyles, and just making sure that I can kind of be, hopefully like a prayer is like an extension of Jesus, on how I act and how I respond, and being available for prayer and hopefully an encouraging word, or maybe just, with chiropractic, there's touching. So just like, even just like placing your hands after the adjustment and just kind of like letting them know that you hope they have a great day, and just being kind and hopefully having the fruits of the Spirit, like in all that you do.
Man, that's good. I love that idea of slowing down, in the midst of work and really just allowing the Holy Spirit to kind of prompt you. Like, I think there's a lot of times that the Holy Spirit has prompted me to maybe do something or say something, and I've written it off as, man, I'm too busy, or I don't know really what to say, or I don't have time for this. But then every time I've obeyed that prompting, I've always been thankful on the other side that I slowed down and I saw somebody, or I said something, or I prayed with somebody, or encouraged somebody. So Todd, how about you? I mean, My goodness, you can't go to a Chick-fil-A without it wrapped twice around the building. So how do you find time to, to slow down and maybe cross that barrier?
Yeah. So as John Maxwell said, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Mm-hmm.
You are a walking quote book,
That's pretty
by
good.
the way.
I don't know about that.
That's
but
third.
I mean, these
third
are
already.
things
That's
that are
good,
that are
man.
core for me.
Yeah.
And everything. So just like from my employees each morning, greeting them personally,
Right.
patting them on the back, and
Mhm.
thanking them and everything. So as on a daily basis, as the guests come into the store, and I get to know them,
Yep.
and as I get to know them, I kind of earn the right to be heard.
Right. That's good.
And
Earning the right to be heard. That's
as
good.
far as that goes, because
Mhm.
I've got several people over so we're fixing to celebrate 20 years
Yeah.
in Rivergate in August,
Wow.
and
Congrats.
we've got a lot of people who've
Yeah.
been coming there for 20 years.
Me, I'm one of them.
And which is really cool. And there have been several relationships along the way
Right.
that I've had with people
Mm-hmm.
that means so much to me,
Right.
and everything, and which they actually ministered to me,
Mm-hmm.
which is really special. But there are opportunities, and we can just stop and pray, and
Mhm.
and that's the thing that I had a situation. I just got back from Austria with full count, and I was talking with one of my employees, and I saw one of his Instagram posts,
Mm-hmm.
and was kind of disappointed.
Yeah.
And I went to this person. I said, "Hey, I really hated to see this and everything." And he just kind of like, "Mr. Todd, why do you care so much?"
Hmm.
I said, "I care a lot about you.
Yeah.
I love and care for you, and I know that that's not you. I know
Mhm.
what happened is not the best thing in the world, but
Right.
the way you responded was probably
Right.
not the best way to respond,
Mm-hmm.
in doing that." But he knew that I cared
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
enough to say something.
Okay. I love that. And that kind of transitions into my next big question. So how do you handle hard situations? You know what I'm saying? Like we're in the church and we're in the people business. You guys are in the people business. We are not perfect. We're believers. We love Jesus. We're not perfect.
Right.
Okay. And there's sometimes that we kind of feel this pressure of, oh, if we mess up, we mess it up for everybody,
Mhm.
but listen, we're not perfect people.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you handle conflict? How do you handle situations like that? Maybe it's a staff member, maybe it's somebody who is coming to your establishment in a way that glorifies the Lord. What's maybe a tip or something you'd give somebody?
Biggest thing for me, I think I'm guilty of just like over analyzing and maybe like call it like awfulizing. Like if someone's late, I'll start thinking about like, oh, are they not happy to be here? Are they not, like
Yeah.
start like creating an own story within my head. And so I think the biggest thing is in the quote unquote like heat of the moment, for me, it's just good to like jot the note down, jot it on like a post-it, and then just
Mhm.
put it in my pocket and look at it later.
Right.
That way I don't get too like
Oh yeah.
potentially worked up in the
Mhm.
moment, and I start speaking from emotion or
That's
speaking
good.
from
Yeah.
feeling. And I think I've made mistakes some in the past when I was like newer in practice, and we had different team and stuff. It just like maybe coming to that person and saying like, you doing XYZ made me, and making it about me.
Right. Right.
Where it really never needs to be about me. It needs to be
Yeah.
about the people we help and serve. And
Yeah.
and so that's been a big tidbit, I guess, for me, is just making sure that in the heat of the moment that I can just make a note, put it in my pocket,
Mhm.
and then look at it at the end of the day. And if it needs to be addressed, then I can address it then,
Yeah.
or I can make a note to address it the next day. But
Yeah.
at least I'm in a better mindset where I don't speak from emotion and
Yeah.
misrepresent us.
Yeah, you had mentioned earlier about the fruits of the spirit,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like self-control is one of the
It's good,
biggest
yeah.
struggles for
Sure.
any believer.
Yeah.
But that goes such a long way
Mhm.
to not react in the moment,
Mm-hmm.
but to slow down, to consider the other person, as Paul says, in Philippians 2, consider others more significant than yourself.
Mhm.
Right.
And so not to react in the moment and feel attacked as the
Yeah.
employer or whatever, but to look at them and say, hey, what's going on in their
Yeah.
life? What may have caused them to be late or to react in a certain way,
Yeah.
and to have that self-control to come back to it later.
Yeah, it's
And
good.
I think that's a great gospel
Mm-hmm.
presentation. It's a picture of who Jesus is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it helps a ton.
How do you come back around to it when you've made a mistake? So when you've
That's a great
been emotional that day, we've all been
Yeah.
there. There's multiple people in this room right now behind the scenes that I've had to apologize because I brought the rest of Andrew's life to work one day.
Was it Blake?
It was definitely Blake. Blake's our online producer, who was his birthday last week and is single, ladies, if you're looking for somebody. So I meant to say that last week when he was on camera and I forgot. See, this is one of those moments. Now I have to go back and apologize. So anyways, so how do you guys go back and maybe right one of those wrongs or apologize for something? How do you handle a situation like that?
It's a great opportunity to be vulnerable
Mm-hmm.
and just kind of be super real and just like say, hey, I shouldn't have said that. I didn't really mean this.
Yeah.
I said it this way. I should have maybe waited towards our next team meeting to chat about this, or
Right.
just a good opportunity to just like you just said, just apologize and be real with them. And I've noticed too, if I'll just like ask for forgiveness, not just say sorry, but like, hey, forgive me for doing that. That was,
Yeah.
that was silly in the moment.
Yeah. And that's the power of I'm sorry.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
strong. Todd, you got anything on that?
Well, going back to the first part of the question, so Linda and I pray together every morning.
Yeah.
And one of the things that she prays for me is to respond to people and not react to people.
Ooh, that's good.
Because there's no doubt I've allowed my emotions to get high because I love my people. I
Right.
defend my people.
Yeah.
And everything, but I've reacted before,
Mhm.
which leads me to have a humble pie and
Right. Oh, yeah.
just say, hey, I blew it.
Yeah.
And I'm
Mhm.
sorry.
Yeah.
I need you to forgive me,
Yeah.
and doing that. And I've had to do that, unfortunately, plenty of times over the years
Yeah.
in doing that. But, to me, it starts in the morning with that time of prayer to get me in the right frame of mind as I go into work.
Mm-hmm.
That I'm here to respond and not to react,
Right.
and to glorify God
Mm-hmm.
with everything that's in me.
As you guys were talking, it made me think back to a time before I was in ministry when my brother and I were in business together. We had a lawn care company, right? We were young, and I remember there were frustrations that were building up over time over something. I remember one day it just came to a head, and we were inside of our metal and wooden enclosed trailer, and I just punched a hole in the trailer. And it just made me, now that I'm older, I think, man, if I would have addressed that stuff as it came up,
Mm-hmm.
instead of allowing it to build up over time,
Mm-hmm.
then it never would have gotten to that point. So would you say there may be some wisdom in addressing things with employees, maybe as they happen, instead of maybe building up this catalog of things? Or I mean, what would your thoughts be there?
Yeah, I think it, for me anyway, because I think like I said, I think I overanalyze a lot of things. I think for me, it's if it's pretty black and white, then we can just have a really good conversation about it.
Yeah.
If it's something that is grayer, like
good,
a
yeah.
circumstance, then it's like, I'll put that note in my pocket, and probably 80% of the time I'll look at it later and I'll be like, I can't believe that bothered me. Or like,
Yeah. Yeah.
So I need to just kind of like as things get busy in my mind, make sure that like certain emotions don't override any type of logic or any type of like, circumstance. And I think that thankfully we have awesome people around us that these rarely come up because people are responsible for their actions. And so, but yeah, I think like my weakness would be, and just making sure that I can like, is this black and white? Yes. We'll just have a really good, honest conversation about it.
Mhm.
If it's gray, I need to put that note in my pocket and make
Yeah.
sure that it's not just something that I'm wrapped up into
Yeah.
and I need to figure out later.
Yeah. That's good, man. Sam, if I ever see you walking around with just a pocket full of notes, I'm gonna be like, man, I need to check on Sam.
What's
Pray
going
for
on?
me.
I need
Just
to pray
lay your
for
hands
Sam
on
right
me.
now. He's got a pocket full of
Yeah,
sticky
yeah.
notes.
Tell me to let it go.
No, I love that. I'm gonna start writing stuff down and just revisiting it later. That's actually
Yeah.
a really good tip there. All right, let's transition to this as we begin to wrap up. We're not gonna wrap up super quick, but I just want to hear some stories of how God has worked at your workplace. I just want to celebrate some things God has done. Todd, I know we have been recipients. I don't know how to say that word.
Recipient.
Yes, we have been that of how you treat your workplace as a ministry. When Jenny worked there, man, you guys have just incredibly blessed our family. But it wasn't just us. I have seen you give moms a second chance at life.
Mm.
I have seen you go the extra mile to love your people. And I'm bragging on you just because I've seen it firsthand. So I'd love to hear some stories from you guys, and you're not bragging on yourself. We're bragging on the Lord. But
Mhm.
man, just what are some things you've seen God do? And my goal of asking this question is to inspire you those of you listening or watching, wherever you work, wherever your business is, that man, you can see God do something right where you are as well. So Todd, I'm gonna let you go first this time. What's
Well-
something you've seen God do?
Well, we've created I guess a loyalty with employees. I would say a third of my staff have been with me anywhere from 5 to 20 years.
Wow.
And in this particular industry, that's kind of unheard of.
Right.
Mhm.
Either they're not so smart or I'm taking care of them. And I like to think I'm taking care of them
Yeah.
and doing that. And one thing that I try to let my people know, and I show them that, I can provide more than just a paycheck for you.
Yeah.
And that I talk to my people daily.
Right.
And if they're hurting, why are you hurting? Okay, is there needs here? And I realize in this, there's a lot of people. It's paycheck to paycheck.
Right.
And so I don't got to do anything. I get to do things.
Right. Yeah, that's good.
And that's the way my wife Linda and I are of the same heart.
Right.
That we're looking for opportunities.
Yeah.
We have. I think that's been with me.
Mhm.
She 20 years.
Wow.
She's going through a cancer stage
Wow.
right now of treatments and things like that, and so we're taking care of our family,
Man, that's a big deal.
which is really cool.
Yeah.
And but when you see somebody like who came through the Jonah's Journey program. She's been with me 8 years.
And just the joy of the Lord in her.
Yes.
Golly, I love being around her.
Mhm.
And so to me, I think that's just a testimony for her
Mhm.
to be somewhere,
Yeah.
and everything. But, it's so funny. I've been, I guess, accused of running a hospital with
Yeah.
people's of hurts, habits, and hangups.
Yeah, I love it.
And everything. But, it's okay because God has released me to the point of saying, okay, this person needs to be here.
Yeah.
And don't worry about the results. That's up to me.
That's good.
Mm.
Yeah, that's good. Sam, what about you, man? Have you seen God work?
When you asked that question, I was thinking, we have a really great team, good doctors, great people. And I think when my wife, Dr. Claire, and I, prior to those people joining our team,
Mm-hmm.
we would pray for specific characteristics in people
Right.
that we felt like would be a really great fit,
Mm.
or something that maybe would be our weakness that they could help,
Right.
serve more people or serve people in a better way. And so I think of some of our people that are a part of our team, docs included, that we've prayed for specific characteristics,
Yeah.
and then those people are there.
Yeah.
God's provided those people into our work environment, and it's humbling because it's like, man, God really cared enough to
Right.
answer a prayer
Yeah.
for a person to be able to be a blessing in our lives. And so and we're able to see a lot of healing testimonials and things
Right.
like that within the practice. But that's what came up to mind when you asked that question.
Man, praise God for that. I love the idea of getting to know your people, praying for your people. They're not just employees. They're people
That's
you care
right.
about. They're people you pray for. It's hard to to not care about somebody you're praying for.
Right.
It's a really big deal. All right. Well, hey, as we close, you guys got any last encouragement you would give a business owner who's listening to this?
Yeah, I
Pay your taxes.
yeah, do that for sure.
Yeah.
One thing that has helped me, we've only been in practice 10 years, but just knowing like before I go into the practice that day, that I can kind of just take a self-reflection on like where I currently am. Like, am I hung up on something that happened in the morning? Am I tired?
Right.
But then just having a list of affirmations that I can just like speak over myself, Bible verses. Maybe I'm sleeping. I just need to listen to some worship music or something,
Right.
but pray around the facility. Like once I get there, do something to kind of like continually recenter yourself, whatever your occupation is, whatever your why is in life, is just making sure that you keep the main thing. And unfortunately, I think we have to daily remind ourselves of that so that we can not be bothered by some of the busyness and some of the stuff, outside the four walls that we're in.
Yeah, that's good. What about you, Todd?
For me, I would say you can be the most intelligent at your business, but if you're not allowing God to use you, it's going to be tough.
Yeah.
And I've had to learn that the hard way.
Right.
Sure, I may know what I'm doing, and I may consult God, but I realize that's not how it works.
Yeah.
And that I've got to keep Him first and foremost. That there's a lot of things that have to be done today, but Lord, most of all, I need You to guide me and lead me. And show me what I need to be a part of, and show me what I need to let go of, and all that. But God did, in this situation, don't ever allow God to be the consultant. He needs to be the head.
Yeah, that's good.
That's good.
Man, that is so good.
That's great.
TJ, you got anything else?
I do.
I'm actually asking.
Yeah.
I typically just cut
He
TJ
always
off when
cuts
I
me
ask
off.
this, but
But yes, you haven't let me talk a whole lot in this one, so I'll talk. But one of the things that I hear with both of these guys, which is incredible, and I see it in both of them, is there's a big difference between a boss and a servant leader who looks like Jesus. A boss is someone who looks for people to serve them. But a servant leader looks for people to serve. And I think for anyone who is leading a business, leading an organization, always think through the lens of Jesus. Who are the people that I can serve?
That's good.
Not looking for people to serve me. I think that's huge. We need to ask the question, not so much how can I be more like Jesus, but what would Jesus look like if He were me? If He were leading my business, if He were leading Chick-fil-A, what would Jesus look like?
Yeah.
And then let's try to model that in our life. So.
Man, that's a good encouragement. Well, listen, I just want to remind you, man, God has you right where you are for a reason. That is your mission field. If you're listening to this and you own a business, if you work at a business, if you're a stay-at-home mom, man, whatever you're doing in life, God has strategically, sovereignly placed you there for such a time as this. And He wants to use you as a plan and purpose for your life. And we are so excited to see what that is. And we also want to come alongside of you as the church and help you figure that out. So be encouraged today. Stick with it, man. Look for how God is working right where you are. And go there, right? That's what Henry Blackaby said, a little experiencing God. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode. Todd, Sam, thank you guys. TJ, appreciate you.
Thank you.
And we'll see you on the next episode.